Long, long time ago, when the postal system was modernized, the chronically overworked Postmaster General overlooked two tiny post offices, one tucked away in the rolling hills of Somersetshire, the other somewhere in London. After unsuccessfully awaiting modernization, these two offices continued with their quiet lives until one day their daily routine was violently disrupted by the letters of Lady Susan, the most accomplished coquette in England. To avoid another scandal on social media, Lady Susan had now taken to letter writing, and her letters were eagerly expected by the two post offices through which all of these letters coincidentally passed. What with the secrecy of the letter no longer being what it used to be, Lady Susan's letters soon ceased to be private after all.
Hello, Mrs. Khan. Miss Clark says to tell you, what is it now?
Hello, Julia Marie dear. Tell Cecily that I was right and that there are indeed more letters.
Oh, I'll tell her, Julia Marie. Don't bother.
And how are you today, my dear?
Very well, Mrs. Khan, thank you. How are you? How are your children?
Oh, thank you for asking. They are both very well. You know, Amrita has won a scholarship and now everything is so much easier. I told Ravi yesterday that everything would be well if we only believed in it. He made fun of me, of course. He always does. Oh, Marianne Thomas, there you are. Marianne, have you finished packing? Have you finished your paperwork for university?
You're going off to university, Marianne?
No, actually, I am transferring to Churchill, and so I can't continue evening college here. So I'm decided to enroll in Open University.
Oh, good for you. Very good for you.
It's a little bit more expensive than evening college, but it'll work out somehow. I can actually save some living costs, you know.
How do you do that?
Well, I am moving in with Isabella and her parents for now. And I'll start working at Churchill Post Office next week.
You're starting at Churchill. Doing what?
Your job, Michael, your job.
What?
No, of course not. I'll just be office staff at Churchill, working with you guys.
And we will miss you dearly, but if it makes you happy, all is well, as I always say. Michael, what does Cecily say?
Cecily says, good for you. And, well, what are you waiting for? So I guess she's not coming.
Well, you're probably guessing right. Let's start then. Marianne, please go ahead.
Okay. Oh, this will probably be my last letter from here. It's from Mrs. Johnson to Lady Susan. Edward Street. I am grieved, though I cannot be astonished at your rupture with Mr. de Courcy. He has just informed Mr. Johnson of it by letter.
I wonder why we never got that letter.
He leaves London, he says, today. Be assured that I partake in all your feelings, and do not be angry if I say that our intercourse, even by letter, must soon be given up. It makes me miserable, but Mr. Johnson vows that if I persist in the connection, he will settle in the country for the rest of his life. And you know it is impossible to submit to such an extremity while any other alternative remains. You have heard, of course, that the Mannerings are to part, and I am afraid Mrs. M. will come home to us again, but she is still so fond of her husband, and frets so much about him, that perhaps she may not live long. Miss Mannering is just come to town to be with her aunt, and they say that she declares she will have Sir James Martin before she leaves London again. If I were you, I would certainly get him myself. I had almost forgot to give you my opinion of Mr. de Courcy. I am really delighted with him. He is full as handsome, I think, as Mannering, and with such an open, good-humoured countenance, and one cannot help loving him at first sight. Mr. Johnson and he are the greatest friends in the world. Adieu, my dearest Susan. I wish matters did not go so perversely. That unlucky visit to Langford. But I dare say you did all for the best, and there is no defying destiny. Your sincerely attached Alicia.
This sounds an awful lot like goodbye, doesn't it?
Of course it does. If Mrs. Johnson may no longer correspond with Lady Susan, then who's left to write it all?
Well, we still have one more letter, Patricia. Shall I read it?
Oh, yes, please do.
All right. My dear Alicia, I yield to the necessity which parts us. Under circumstances you could not act otherwise. Our friendship cannot be impaired by it, and in happier times, when your situation is as independent as mine, it will unite us again in the same intimacy as ever. For this I shall impatiently wait, and meanwhile can safely assure you that I never was more at ease, or better satisfied with myself and everything about me than at the present hour. Your husband I abhor, Reginald I despise, and I am secure of never seeing either again. Have I not reason to rejoice? Mannering is more devoted to me than ever, and were we at liberty, I doubt if I could resist even matrimony offered by him. This event, if his wife live with you, it may be in your power to hasten. The violence of her feelings, which must wear her out, may be easily kept in irritation. I rely on your friendship for this. I am now satisfied that I never could have brought myself to marry Reginald, and am equally determined that Frederica never shall. Tomorrow I shall fetch her from Churchill, and let Maria Mannering tremble for the consequence. Frederica shall be Sir James's wife before she quits my house, and she may whimper, and the Vernons may storm. I regard them not. I am tired of submitting my will to the caprices of others, of resigning my own judgment in deference to those to whom I owe no duty, and for whom I feel no respect. I have given up too much, have been too easily worked on, but Frederica shall now feel the difference. Adieu, dearest of friends. May the next Gouty attack be more favorable, and may you always regard me as unalterably yours, Susan Vernon.
She's coming back to us.
But her motivations are utterly bad.
Yeah, poor Frederica.
What a
Lady
woman.
Lady Susan is just as bad as ever, isn't she?
Some people never change.
Right you are. Now, Churchill people, make sure you watch out for letters from the Vernon estate and let us know immediately if anything happens. In the meantime, bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Well.